Chief Oju of the Curriculum Committee here at Black Hammer. We need you, revolutionary educators, whether you're teaching in your school or teaching your kid the revolutionary ABCs at the work. We need you to join our curriculum committee so we can teach our young people, our members, and everyone out there about Black Hammer's revolutionary anti-colonial line, all right? Join today and let's get to teaching our people.
Lamb back, everyone.
Lamb back.
Good morning. Y'all, do y'all have your coffee or tea? Which team are you on? Remind us. I already forget for most of y'all. I'm sorry. I got my coffee with some almond creamer, right? Almond milk. Oats. It's oats. But yeah. How's everyone doing this morning? Land back. I see some early birds coming in. We got SG Tiger and G and Rose and Ama. Land back, everyone.
Land back, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, Ama is Team T.
Team T. Okay, that's fine. No, I do like tea. I do like tea a lot, actually. But coffee in the morning, it's different, you know?
It is a little different, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start with introductions. In case this is your first time tuning in to this book, or you just have never seen this before. So this is the Revolutionary Book Trap for the Black Hammer organization. We are reading Materialism and the Dialectical Method by Maurice Cornforth. My name is Watakame. I represent the Coca Novirarica people. I represent the poor and working class, and I use they, them pronouns.
And I am Minister Ren. Sorry, something in my throat. Minister Ren, representing the nations of Panama and Colombia. And I am I come from the Paribu class, but am committing class suicide. And I use they, them, she, her pronouns. So yeah, land back, everyone.
Ooh, you know what? I think Comrade G wins.
Yep.
Team Red Bull.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
That is a whole other level of energy. Yes.
Not even energy, honestly. It does nothing for me. Caffeine does nothing for me. It's just cute.
It's just cute.
It's just fun. It's a good time.
Okay, listen. So just for reference, before anyone, before even moving, right? I moved recently. I never drank. I was not drinking coffee or really even Red Bull or anything like that. I was Team T. That's it. And then now, I'm Team Energy. I drink. I drink tea or coffee or Red Bull every day.
All the things. Lamb back, Black Hammer Defense. Lamb back, Chief Oju. Lamb back, Shek Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for being here. Team T over here. Yes, tea is a good, if I really just want to have a good, relaxing time, I love tea. Mm-hmm. I love all kinds of tea. I love mixing teas. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
But yeah, I'm back, everyone. This section of the book we just read was from chapter 7 through chapter 9. It's actually pretty good. I'm still really wordy. A little bit on the wordy side for, galleta, pero, it was a lot better than the first, in my opinion, than the first few chapters.
I think this is my favorite section so far.
Yeah, for sure. So if you did not read, you should drop some donations. But if you did read, also make sure to drop those read that backs, and show us your favorite part, because maybe it's our favorite part too. But yeah, this is a really good book, especially this section. It's all about change. It's all about contradiction, and how that pushes us forward. So I'm really excited to get into this with y'all, so that we can break it down. But yeah, like I said, if you have not read shame on you. Donate $5 at the very least, if not 15, and so that we can continue to rebuild NOLA. We went down for a trip one. I actually don't remember the date. A few weeks ago, we went down to NOLA.
The day it hit.
Yeah, the day it hit, like the day after it hit, New Orleans, in southern Louisiana. We went down and we're giving out care packages, just talking to people, asking them how they're doing, things like that. It was a really, like, I wasn't there, but from the videos, from the pictures, like, it looked like an amazing experience to just be able to talk to people that had just gone through this, like, natural events are beautiful, but when you aren't prepared for them because the system continues to, not support our people, not give the people the resources and the knowledge that they need to, like, thrive, then, it becomes horrific, right? Like, people are dying or that did die from, not having care from this. So with that, we have our $500 goal. Y'all better be ready to donate, if not donate right now, so that we can make sure that we're preparing for our next trip. We're going down again to do the same thing, but even better, right? We want to make sure that we're building a chapter there so that they can build their determination, and really, basically be able to take care of their own community. Because we know that this system isn't going to do that for them. So,
and just to clarify, we were not there physically, right? But we were supporting on the air, doing those weather watches, and the entire organization and even people outside the organization were such a vital part of making this trip possible, for making us able to give out over 1,000 care packages, right? Everyone did that. Y'all did that. And that's what we continue to ask you to do with donating, right? So land back, Chief Amalicha, land back, Chief Oju, for donating and really doing your part to make sure that we can continue to serve the people of Louisiana through this, right? Because it's not over. Like, Louisiana, honestly, we feel like we talk about Louisiana, Katrina, and forward, but they have consistently been hit by natural events and consistently left to hang by the colonial system, right? So land back, Red Hammer, for that donation. That's going to go to life-saving supplies for the people. Even the colony, like the way that it says natural disasters, right? Because it's putting that blame on natural events that our ancestors lived through, right? That our ancestors, if you look at almost the history of any indigenous group, they all had warning signs. They all had ways to understand nature that allowed them to survive, to live in harmony. And we just want to get back to that. We want to get back that unity that we had with nature prior to colonialism. And this is just a small step of it.
Yeah.
So continue to donate. Again, it's the hashtag rebuild NOLA. Y'all can donate whenever.
Yeah, throughout the entire show, But yeah, let's get into a trivia. Let's see what y'all
I love this
learned. Part. Yes, it brings out the teacher in both of us, of us just like wanting to see like who. Yeah, exactly, right? Best teacher ever, mug. But yeah, let's see who read. But make sure to keep donating to rebuild NOLA. But yeah, the question this time is: a contradiction is a unity of.
Is it A, opposites, B, problems, C, metaphysics, or D, ideas? Oh, G's first.
Okay, G.
That was y'all said capital A,
hot.
Period. Okay. All
and
right.
Red Hammer coming also with an A.
With an A. I think those three count. Y'all were
really back to back with that one. Literally seconds behind each other. Literally, like, it shows the exact timestamp within 10 seconds of each other. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, I think those all count. Oh, if you get it right, you get to donate $5 for the people of NOLA. If you get it wrong, you get to donate $10 for the people of NOLA.
Yeah.
That's all. If you didn't read, donate 15.
If you have no idea, you're like, I have no clue.
Or share. If you do not have the funds to donate, share as many times as you would like to donate.
Or as you should donate, right? Like, if you got it wrong, then share 5 times or 10 times.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Who knows what this one is? You have a guess?
I know the answer. I did the reading.
I know. But I'm like, in my head, if I did not read, which one would I pick? The unity of problems? That doesn't make too much sense to me. Okay, Uju with another A.
That was kind of late in the game, though.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Like the producer in the background getting the wrong answer. Okay, Yabe, 24.
24.
Okay.
You didn't do the reading, Yabe?
Nah, Yabe's just sharing to share. Yeah. Yabe's just, A+ student.
Salute for that.
100%.
All right, let's see what it is.
Yeah, what is the answer?
Look at that. Everyone was right.
Wow. Amazing.
A contradiction is a unity of opposites. Honestly, if you didn't do the reading, that's a very confusing sentence.
It is.
So we're going to get into that.
Yeah. But it's really good. Like, it does make a lot of sense in the end. Like, the unity of opposites. Like, a contradiction is, the unity of opposites. I don't know. We'll get into it.
So if you want to make sure that other people understand what the unity of opposites is and what this galleta's talking about, share it. Share it to people's DMs, send it through text messages, like the tweets. Hit up your Tinder, Bumble, Grindr people.
Or people from outreach. We talked to some amazing people out on outreach this past or just yesterday. I'm like, wow, that seems forever ago. But no, we talked to some amazing people that were like, literally we're just talking about dialectical materialism. That's all it was an amazing conversation. Shout out to Wednesday if they are in here. But yeah, and it was just a really good conversation, just talking about what we've been reading about. And it was, so if you had those types of conversations, make sure to, share it with them, hit them up, be like, hey, we're actually talking about that conversation we had. You should come into this little live stream.
Is the poor working class colonized people, y'all, they don't need these books to understand theory, right? They live it. They not only live the theory, but they inform the theory. It's like if earlier in the book, right, it's talking about how like your theory, your philosophy is based on your material circumstances. So of course, the poor working class colonized people inform the philosophy of what we're trying to do, of liberation, right, of anti-colonial liberation. And they don't need the fancy words. They have that inherent understanding of it because it is of the class that it's based. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and also like this Galleta, this author, right, gives a lot of examples. They are pretty good examples. I do love. I am an analogy person, if I do say so myself. And like but even with that, like that is basically all that this person, like how they write is basically through examples, right? Which is okay, but it is very wordy, repeating like basically the same thing over and over again. So we are gonna sum it up for y'all
real quick. Shout out to Oju and G for understanding the assignment and donating $5 for the right answer. Also shout out to Yabe for sharing even more than 5. Even though they also got the right answer. So shout out to y'all.
Extra credit.
That was just the assignment.
No, sharing extra.
Oh yes, Yabe extra credit for sure. A++. Let's get into it.
Let's get into our first read that bag. Drop a hashtag shared once you have shared. We need to see that y'all did it. We gotta see the proof.
We are materialists.
Yeah. How do we know? until you dropped it, right? But yeah, let's get into our first read that back, y'all. I believe you're first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, this one's really good. We both like came together and were talking about it, and we were like, ooh, yeah, that part right there. Mm-hmm.
So it is on page 74 of the book. I believe it's page 77 in the PDF. Let's just get into it. They consider nationalization by itself in isolation, out of connection with the state and with social structure in relation to which nationalization measures are introduced. They overlook the fact that if the public power, the state, remains in the hands of the exploiters, and if the representatives sit on and control the boards of the nationalized industries, which continue to be run on the basis of exploiting the labor of one class for the profit of another class, then nationalization is not socialism. Socialist nationalization can come into being only when the public power, the state, is in the hands of the workers.
Ooh, exactly.
Period.
100%.
Like, it is just such a concise, I think it's like a couple sentences. Mm-hmm. It's long, but it's a concise thought, right? Which honestly, for our homie, Mr. Cornforth, you get little pieces of concise thought. Mm-hmm. It's very elaborative, which is good, right? It helps you understand. But like, this is exactly why, as hammers, right, we say we have to destroy the old to build the new, mm-hmm. right? We cannot. And this is why we honestly laugh at people, not people, but the idea. We laugh at the idea that you can change the system from within, right? This system that was built, like it says here, inherently for one class to exploit the other, right? And we are the other. The poor working class are the other, colonized people. Mm-hmm. Like, we cannot. That's why when we look at people like AOC, or, you know, your cousin who wants to be a cop, because they want to change it from the inside. Like, fundamentally, this system is built to exploit us, to oppress us, mm-hmm. And only through giving that power to the working class, to the people, right? The actual poor working class, colonized people, will there be an overturning of the contradictions that we face in the colony. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, like people who want to like change the system from within. I don't even know. Like, I used to think, oh, it's like good intentions, right? But intentions don't mean anything. It's about the material consequence that mm-hmm. that they have. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things, like, I don't know if y'all know who. I was talking to one of my very good friends, shout out to Soul, and I read this part to her. If y'all do not read political education with your friends, find friends that you can read political education mm-hmm. with, and you can find them by going to blackhammer.org/join. Comrades. But anyway, I was talking to my friend Soul, brilliant person, and she was able to tie it to this like cultural thing. So if y'all know who Cantinflas is, drop something. I don't know. Let me know I'm not alone. But Cantinflas is like this character in like Mexican movie, like Mexican film. Mm-hmm. It's like super old school. I don't remember the time period. Like, I grew up on it. Like, my parents watched it, you know. It's one of those things that like on TV, like the Spanish networks, for every holiday it's Cantinflas. Like, but Cantinflas is this like satire character, I mean, of a working class man, you know. Mm-hmm. But one of his like famous things is like sin querer queriendo. So sin querer queriendo translates to on accident but on purpose, mm-hmm. kind of. Like, oh, I didn't want to, but I did. And that to me just completely summarizes this, right? Like that, oh, I want to help within the system. And it's like, but whether you wanted to or not, you still continued the oppression and the exploitation of a class, mm-hmm. of a whole group of people, right? And I just thought it was so, like, literally just another proof of the brilliance of the poor working class colonized mind. Like, she was able to tie this in a split second to like something that a whole a whole group of people relates to, you know, and it's understandable. Something that Mr. Cornforth here
fails to do left and right.
It not even fails to do, but cannot do.
Yeah.
As a person with no pigments, with no
culture,
no melanin, he writes for his people. You know, he writes for his people to understand. And that's why, like, I think it's so important for us to be breaking this down, because we break it down for our people, right? And obviously, like that's why the collective is so powerful, because not everyone is gonna know who Cantinflas is. Not every colonized person knows who Cantinflas. I didn't know. Exactly. But that's why, like, this collective brilliance is so important to, like, bringing this down. But yeah, I saw some beautiful comments. Yeah, so Amalicha says, yes, how are we affecting the masses, and every action that we take is what we need to consistently be asking ourselves. Exactly. Intention doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's how it materially impacts the people. You cannot just say, fue sin querer queriendo, and move on. Like, that's not how this works, because you still caused harm, right? That's why people who do commit class suicide, or in the process of committing class suicide, like, have to internalize what the petty boot class has done to poor and working class colonized people, and what part they have played into it, right? Willing or unwilling, with intention or not, it doesn't matter. It still happened. It's a material thing, right? By the existence of the petty boot class, people are being exploited. And committing class suicide is cutting all ties with that, cutting all ties with whatever temporary and small colonial, like, luxuries or comforts you get for being petty boo. And understanding that, like, that is not worth the exploitation of an entire class of people.
Yeah, and a really good example of this too is, like, you mentioned AOC, is, like, literally, y'all, it's just funny to me. I don't know. Anyway, there's so many good examples, but the most recent that I've seen, like, on social media and stuff is AOC wearing that, like, eat the rich or whatever, like tax the rich, not even eat them, just tax them, okay? Like, oh yeah, tax them anyway. So that's already, like, that's whatever. You, homie. Yeah, exactly. You're wearing how much is that dress, and you're going to the gala or whatever.
I honestly have no idea.
I don't remember where she went, but she went to some fancy thing for rich people. So and she wore this dress that was like, oh yeah, tax the rich, and it's like, dude, you're part of the problem. But anyway, on top of that, literally days later, if not the next day, if I remember right, she signs a bill and then cries about it. The bill that she signed was in support of Israel. And it was support of Israel to get billions, millions, I don't know. Money is not real. But, like, so much money to Israel's military defense. Yeah, first of all, ugly dress. Thank you. 100%. Solomon. But yeah.
Also a stolen design, turns out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Can't even be original. Anyway. Yeah.
That's for a different show.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, it's the, not only the, like, even if she was intentional, right? In this example that, like we were saying about, like, si queriendo, right? Like, that is, like, if you're trying to help the people, this AOC is not even trying, in my opinion. Like, it's not even like you're really trying, because if you're materially trying, you would actually, like, not wear a dress. You would not even go to the gala. You would not even bother to sign this bill if you actually are for what you're saying that you are. Like, and the people that continue to, like, support her or, like, whatever, please second guess. Like you need to really, like, think about what we're talking about, because it's not material. She is not materially helping the people,
especially as someone who claims to be of the poor working class, right? Like, her whole, like, initial campaign was run on, I was a waitress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what are you now, though? And, like, AOC, just like any other sellout, has just a list of things that they do that just it's all for show. Like, y'all remember when she went down to the border and was, like, crying? Yeah. And I was like, damn, if there was only someone in Congress who could
do something about it.
Like, even then, like, it's a whole different thing. Like, whatever, useless. Like, it's just ridiculous. But
like, even if you are like, oh, I still believe in the system, right? how can you believe in a system that puts out people like this? That are you like that? That's your best hope is someone who does something like this. That is my question. Like, if you're a supporter of AOC, I don't materially understand. Like, please.
Or any of these sellouts. Like,
really, honestly,
any of them.
Yeah, for real. Like,
Yeah.
I lost hope in the system. Like when I was very young, like very very young. Like before I could even vote, I was like, what is the point? What is this? Like, what's the point of continuing to try to vote, continuing to try to change something when it's never materially changed anything for any of my family members, any of my people. Like, nah, like this is not it.
Forever grateful for my father who taught me from the get that it was all trash.
Nice. I learned it myself. Nobody taught me that. I was like, ooh.
My dad was like, no. No, this is not for you. Like literally with the Pledge of Allegiance, I was so excited when I learned it when I was like in first grade or something. And my dad was like, listen, don't ever say that. This country's not for you. They do not care about you.
Oh, okay. Like, revolutionary. Okay.
Shout out to my dad.
For real. Oh, I see some read that backs though.
Yes.
Shout out to Chief Oju for yours. That's on page 73 as well. I think that was where yours was at. Yeah, so Chief Oji said, no working class leader can be of very much use if he tries to decide questions of policy in terms of general principle alone, without taking into account the actual circumstances in relation to which policy has to be operated, without understanding that the same policy can be right in one case and wrong in another, depending on the concrete circumstances of each case. That's just dialectical materialism, period. Like, that's it. Like, you shouldn't be making policies and just being like, yep, this all, like, what is that one saying? Like, all one size fits all. That one. Yeah, that's literally what that's saying. It's like, literally like, oh yeah, I did this and this is gonna work for every single one. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, we have to materially look. Like, when you wrote that, we're Ministry of People's Affairs. Within the Ministry of People's Affairs, we have NEPC, which is Natural Event Preparedness Committee. And when you wrote that POA for hurricanes, it was really like from what I remember, it didn't include everything, including the wind, right? Like, it did a little bit, but we didn't see all of the aspects, right? Like, when with NOLA, this most recent thing, like, it was all wind. So we had to see, okay, not wind and like wind destruction, right? Like wind affecting the roofs, right? Mm-hmm. We had to see, hey, okay, it's not necessarily just flooding. Yes, flooding, there was flash flood warnings, things like that. We had to be like, oh, but this is what people need help with. Like, yeah, exactly. This is a material aspect that was like, hey, like this, like we needed to see what was needed on the ground.
Yeah, and like in that POA, it was one of those things like, yeah, obviously I knew wind is dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. I know the hazards of risk, and that was in there, mm-hmm. but it was very in the backseat of it. Mm-hmm. And as dialectical materialists, we can say, okay, mm-hmm. right? We look at it, and then we go in and we change the POA, mm-hmm. Or exactly. we expand the POA, and yeah, like this, yeah, full unity. Mm-hmm. That's all. I can read Chief Amalicha's read that back. PDF page 80. So that's 70 something. Anyway, 77. Similarly, in relation to individual people, we should foster and build on what is coming to birth in them, what is rising and moving ahead. This is what good secretary or organizer does. Such examples as these show that the basis of dialectical method is the most essential principle. Its most essential principle, is to study and understand things in their concrete interconnection and movement. Exactly, right? And that's a theme that comes up in multiple revolutionary writings, right? Like, it's literally just like, don't act without investigation, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I really like the part of like fostering what's building in people, right? And as we like do get comrades in and things like that, or even within already existing comrades, we have to look at the person as a whole, right? Mm-hmm. We have to look at the whole thing, and then develop them through political education, through criticism and self-criticism, to be the best revolutionary that they can be for the people. Mm-hmm. And like everything we do needs to be connected to the masses, right? Because we understand that everything works together. Everything has that interconnection. And we need to like constantly be thinking about how it affects the masses. So that we don't find ourselves in the fue sin querer queriendo situation, you know? And if we do, that's why we believe so heavily in self-criticism, right? And understanding that the best self-criticism is in action.
Yeah, full unity. Yeah, and I think I think that is really beautifully said. I think even thinking about like that's also related to dialectical materialism, and that like you have to see how it's not in isolation. Nothing is in isolation. Everything is connected, right? So when you think of like it says like a good secretary or organizer does, it's like you can't just be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna do this, that, and the other today. It's like, okay, but what needs to be done today? Like what is priority, right? Like what is materially like needed to be done today, and why, and also like, oh yeah, like what events do I have today? Like it's not just, oh, I have these action items. It's like, oh, and like this is my to-do list. It's also like what is actually materially going to be able to be fit in with all the meetings or whatever events that I need to do today, right? So that's like just the basis of it. Like I think that's what they mean by like good secretary and organizer, is just really like, understanding that we are like we have to be dialectical in how we organize ourselves, and also like just our lives,
and like not in a bureaucratic way, right? It's not like, oh, my little planner. But it's like continuously having that big picture, right? How does that action item fit in with the bigger goal of liberation for all poor working class colonized people? If you cannot make that connection, talk to your leadership, honestly.
Yeah, for real.
Like in your life, like if you're not already in Black Hammer, if you, what are you doing? And for what? And for who? And why? And is that what you want? Right? Because I feel like the colony like puts us on this hamster wheel of just work, just work. Like it stops
just
you
surviving.
Like I really like we were talking about that person that we talked to yesterday, Wednesday, right? Said something so beautiful about like what quarantine has done for people. Like obviously this pandemic has been horrific, and so many people have lost their lives, right? But Wednesday pointed out that like being in isolation forced people to see themselves and reflect on themselves and their lives and who they are. And that scared a lot of people. But it also ignited a lot of people. And that's what the colony doesn't want. So I just want to share that because that was something I've been thinking about since we talked to them. And it was really beautiful. Talk to the masses, y'all. Go to outreach. You learn the most there. You learn the absolute most.
Yep, 100%. But yeah, let's get into my next read that back. Mine is on page 78 of the book, and I think 81 of the PDF, if we are ready. Okay. So right before this was a quote from Lenin. I'm just going to skip that because it basically summarizes it in this read that back. So what did he mean by truth is always concrete? Just that we will not get at the truth of things either about nature or society by thinking up some general scheme or some abstract formula, but only by trying to work out as regards each process. I guess that's right. Just what are the forces at work? How are they related? Which are rising and growing and which are decaying and dying away, and on this basis reaching an estimate of the process as a whole. So Engels said, there could be no question of building the laws of dialectics into nature, but discovering them in it and evolving them from it. Nature is the test of dialectics. Y'all, okay, so this really tied. First of all, let me. So yeah, this is really related to, I think, even Chief Alma's read that back, in that like we I think it was Chief Alma's, maybe it was Ochu's. Like basically we have to see how things are connected, right? It's not just one thing that is isolated from another, right? And the best example of this is nature, because you know why? Because we are all nature, right? Like we are all connected to nature. Like we should be. And like if you go into nature, right? Like you see how it's not just, birds, right? It's not just birds that are here, whatever, flying around and eating food, doing their thing, right? They are part of an ecosystem. They are part of a whole system that is, whatever, that is super interconnected, but also made up of a bunch of individual things, like individual species, individual plants, right? And that is beautiful. Like that's literally what indigenous and colonized people have always known, is not just knowing like how everything is connected, but also how we are part of that connection, and how we can not only learn from it, right, but also like add to it, right? Like how can we live in harmony with it? Like if there is flooding in an area, right? Like what are we how are we going to live in harmony with a flooded area, right? Like if we are let's say we're living in it's kind of, it gets swampy in a certain area regularly, right? How are we going to live in harmony with that area? Because this area has a lot of food, it has a lot of water, like it's easy for us to get the food, like there's a lot of positives, but there's a lot of flooding. What are we going to do? Right. And it's that is something that like, colonized people have always like learned how to live with, is just living in harmony with, and that's dialectical materialism. We have a problem. How are we going to solve it? Like literally, that's it.
This is a problem that we see a lot right now in the colony, right? Mm-hmm. The Aztecs had floating cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Floating
gardens.
Exactly. Like just a system. Like to me, this paragraph is like, duh. That's literally my note in the book. It's like duh, because it's talking about like, we need to look at nature, and like that's the thing. Like our ancestors and us as colonized people have an inherent connection to nature, that these YouTube people, galletas, are like, well, some of them are so desperately looking for. Mm-hmm. Like
not Oju saying duh cornhole. Yeah, honestly, that's what a lot of this book is
there's
like.
So many notes where I'm like duh, and I'm like, yeah, that's for the galletas. Mm-hmm. That's okay, cool. I was waiting for that. Read that back. But yeah, exactly, Rose. Like we are part of nature, just as our bodies and plants and animals are made up of cells. We have a role in the ability to live in harmony with nature and all other. Exactly, that's all we want. That's all we want, is to regain that harmony. Mm-hmm. But let's get into Tiger's Read That Back.
I don't know if it's a Read That Back. I think it's a comment.
No, it's a Read That. Or is it? It's a Read That Back. Yeah, because they dropped like the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So understanding things and their circumstances and interconnections inseparable from understanding them and their movement and changes. For the real connection of things, the ways they affect each other are manifested in their movements, in the process of their coming into being and ceasing to be. A dialectical approach is fundamental in every kind of science. For the science disclose connections between things in the process of change, in which things acquire various properties and change their properties. Exactly, full unity. And like it gives examples in like physics and chemistry and biology, right? But let's look at it in revolutionary science. That's, again, it's just dialectical materialism. Like we see how everything is connected, right? Everything leads either to that goal or against it, right? That's why one of our favorite things is the work exposes all. Because through the work that someone is doing or not doing or doing against us, that will have a ripple effect into other things. And that's what we study, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and even with that, like just thinking about what we're about, right? Like what is Black Hammer doing? Like what are we really like focusing on even right now? Like for example, like we're our fight against the CDC, right? We're taking on the CDC because of the lack of the neglect that they've had towards pretty much the entire, like the entire snakes, right? Like the entire US. Yeah, the lies, the straight up like negligence that they've had, right? And these are all really connected in that when you think about how when one person says something, right, it affects, especially someone who's like supposed to be, you know, the center of disease control. It has a huge ripple effect that changes how people think about a disease that is literally like life altering. Like people have, you know, had strokes from this disease, have had really bad side effects from the vaccine that's supposed to help, right? Like these are all things that are like when you are in leadership, you have a, like in this case, like the CDC is the leadership of, you know, the snakes with when it comes to diseases. You are supposed to be like a very like solid like point of truth, and that has never been the case for them. And that has a ripple effect on how people think about a bunch of different things, how people think about the virus itself, how people think about just general like viruses in general, how people think about, you know, other people who do believe in the virus or the vaccine, right? All of these things are yeah, like it causes a huge ripple effect, and that's just one example of like how things can be interconnected, right?
Like
we have that ripple effect.
We can have another example in us,
Mhm.
right? And what Black Hammer is doing, right? Because you'll hear a lot of things. But let's look at it materially. What is our work doing?
Mhm.
What are we doing for the masses? You know, like ultimately that's what it is. Like it's not about, oh, they said this, she said this, he said this. It's what is it for real? Like what is our material work doing? Like answer me that and then come talk to me, please.
Mhm.
Like look,
Yeah.
like that's all.
Anyway,
We're gonna read Amalicha's or you wanna read it?
Yeah, I can read Chief Alma's read that back on page 86 of the PDF, which is
83.
83. Thank you. I was like,
make sure it's not yours.
Yeah, let's see if it's the same. Nope, it's not the same. Love that. Okay. I'm actually just gonna read from my book. Oh, is it yours?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll save it. Okay. We'll get into it in just a little bit. Actually, that actually is the next one, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. Let's get into it.
Dang, Alma and I are like this.
Yeah.
This is the second time we have the same read that back. All right. So mine's a two-parter. Page 82 and 83 of the book. So 85 and 86 of the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a two-parter because I cut out the part we don't need to read. So on page 82, it says, this brings us to consideration of so-called laws of dialectics. And first to what is known as the law of transformation of quantitative into qualitative change. What does this mean? All change has a quantitative aspect. That is, an aspect of mere increase or decrease, which does not alter the nature of that which changes. Yeah.
Okay.
But quantitative change, increase or decrease, cannot go on indefinitely. At a certain point, it always leads to qualitative change. And at that critical point or nodal point, the qualitative change takes place relatively suddenly by a leap, as if were. And then into page 83. In general, qualitative change happens with relative suddenness by a leap. Something new is suddenly born through its potentiality, though its potentiality was already contained in the gradual evolution process of continuous quantitative change, which went before. That was like, I'm going to just continue reading what the rest of Amma's, so we can just... Mm-hmm. Thus, we find that continuous gradual quantitative change leads at a certain point to discontinuous sudden qualitative change. We have already remarked in an earlier chapter that most of those who have considered the laws of development in nature and society have conceived of it only in its continuous aspect. This means that they have considered it only from the aspect of a process of growth, of quantitative change, but have not considered the qualitative aspect. The fact that at a certain point In the gradual process of growth, new quality suddenly arises. A transformation takes place.
God.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Read that back. So much can go into this. Let's look at the colony, if you will. If you will. I'm gonna start talking like Cornforth.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
That's unfortunate.
Drive myself crazy.
You'll drive me crazy.
But like when we look at the growth of the colony, right? It's growing in production, it's growing and whatever. But the quality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like as the colony grows, so does the oppression and the exploitation of the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that does, it starts to breed and it starts to grow that quality in the poor working class colonized people. And that by a leap, as it were, right? It says that sudden catalyst thing. And that like came, I think that's a pretty common theme also in other books that we've read. But that leap is us. That leap is us saying no, right? That's us uniting with each other, because we understand that quality of like the fortitude that we have in our unity, that changes, right? Because it goes on to talk about like when it goes from qualitative to quantitative, or the opposite, quantitative to qualitative change, then the roles reverse, right? As in, power dynamics change. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. That's what we're doing, right? And let's look at it like also like, so that's in the bigger picture, right? We can also talk about the organization. We recently went through a qualitative growth, that little thing, that it's so funny because there was like that whole mess, right? People left, whatever. But that was that change. That was that flip of things where we developed into this quality group of members, quality group of cadre, quality work. Instead of just, okay, don't get me wrong, we're still growing. We still get members on the daily, but the quality of the members, the quality of the members and the work that we're doing now. Like look at the march on the CDC, right?
The NOLA trip.
Exactly, like the march on the CDC, the NOLA trip, like even Seven Nanda, right? Like these projects that are so meaningful for the masses of colonized people, only happened after this flip from quantity to quality. Continue to grow in that quality, and it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful, right? And the best part is this is a cycle. It's not just this is the last time we're going to level up. Like we're already building, we're already adding that pressure for that next flip of leveling up, that next flip of doing more for the masses, like uniting with more people. Like it's a beautiful trajectory that we're on, right?
For real. Ooh, that was such a good analysis. Yeah, it really reminds me of like what we've been saying this like literally since I've been in Black Hammer, since the beginning of time is what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't know about that part.
At the beginning, in the beginning,
you know, we have always been saying like we are forged in fire. And the reason why we say that, and it gives examples of this, like, right, like, of like, oh, when water boils, or like to a certain point and all this, right? Like, you know, stuff happens, right? And it changes the quality of the water, right? It's no longer just like heating up. At some point, it boils. At some point, it turns into vapor, right? It levels up. It changes. The quality of the water changes because the quantity of it has changed, right? And that is literally what we have just went through. Is like it's not, we've been trying to prepare people so that it's like a more of a slow burn, but you know, like a slow change. But that honestly, the real change comes in these moments of just being forged in fire. Like that's literally what this is. Like what this war is literally just being like, hey, this is whole lot of stuff is happening at once. what are you doing about it? What is it? What are you grounded in? Right? If you're not grounded in the masses, if you're not grounded in being not, what is that word? If you're not grounded in the masses, like if you're not being like selfless, right? If you're here to serve the masses fully and not being individualistic, then you see where you need to be, which is here, right? And if that is not like the case, then you haven't been forged. You're not going to be willing to be forged, right? And that's literally what like happened with the war and everything is, well, yeah, the need to level up. And if you're not willing to level up, if you're not willing to be at that point, then
hashtag level up.
Yeah.
Y'all, this is actually a little. Anytime we go through anything as an organization or like our office, this is the first song I play.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a thing. Like level up is a thing. When the Natural Events Preparedness Committee first started, I opened up my first meeting with that song because it was a level up. Like it's so important to recognize those moments as well, so you can replicate the leveling up.
Because it's the small fortunes, right? Like those are the small moments that lead to like the bigger moments like we just had, right? Like it's not like, oh, I've never been forged, like, oh, I'm, this is the first time. No, it's like it's a continuous process, just like it's like you said, it's not just one time, right? This is not going to be the last time that we go through some sort of huge structural change and huge whatever purge, if you will, then it's going to happen again.
Like even in your own development, like let's use Cornforth's analogy of like boiling water, right? There's that point where it's about to break through and it's getting rough, right? It gets rough, like the water is like just
and it's like, oh, I want to get into vapor. I want to get into there.
If anything, like when you are struggling with your own development, like you should see that as an opportunity to level up. Because that's its testing. You can either turn off the fire and let the water cool down, or you can turn up the heat and see what comes next, right? Like, and you will never be the same when you choose the people, when you choose to level up, when you choose to like increase the fire, to like for the masses, y'all, for the masses, not for yourself. Like, and that's the main thing. It cannot be because I want to be better. I want to like. You should want to be better for the masses, so you can do more for the masses, for the people, so you can save more lives. Like that should be at the center of everything. When that's at the center of anything, you can take any temperature. I'm gonna tell you right now. You can take any contradiction. You can take any struggle. When it is for the masses, it is worth it. It is worth it.
And that's what we're doing with NOLA. Like I really want to tie this all back to what we're fundraising for is literally a product, our baby of our level up, right? Like it's like we were able to do this because of the level up that we just went through, because we got rid of all the nonsense,
and we want to level up in our level up.
Yeah, exactly. Like we our first trip was pretty amazing, but we can definitely do better, and we are planning on doing better. Like we got the POA.
It's all in the works.
Yeah, we all got it down. And by donating, you're making sure that we can continue to do that. We can actually materially help people, and like help them help themselves. Like
yeah, we have the supply list, we have the members list, we have even a possible date. We have everything we need. We just need the resources to do it. Because it takes resources.
Yeah, we're still in the colony. Like we still have to play by these rules of money.
We have an hour by hour agenda.
Yeah.
For days. Like, y'all, we're ready. We're ready. We do need the resources, and we need to do that collectively, right? So that means donating whatever you can, or pledging, or sharing. Like ask we all got petty boo people in our lives. Like, hey, can I spot me 10 for gas? Or spot me 10 for gas to get to NOLA.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I need food for the people of New Orleans.
Yeah,
like they don't have enough of.
Yeah, they don't need to know all the details. That's your business, not theirs.
Like we all got petty boo people, and if you don't, I'm sure you can find some.
Actually, I'm gonna pledge $10. I'm gonna try to get my my petty boo grandma, my white lesbian grandma to help me get some moolah for the people. Because honestly, like the sorry. Like, I don't think I killed Watakami, y'all. But no, she got a nice car. She just got a 2020 car last year. I can get some money out of her for sure.
I think it's just funny because you said that and we all know exactly. Like, we all just met your grandma.
Yeah, and pretty much like there's only one. That one is that's a cookie cutter type of thing. You know, they're all the same practically. So. But yeah, I think I can pledge $10. Who's gonna match me? Who's gonna get me? Gonna get some money from the Petty Boo friends.
Who's that one white lesbian? Ellen the something.
Oh, she loves Ellen.
Yeah.
That's her show.
Reach out to the
that
Ellen.
and Oprah.
Reach
Those
out,
are her two favorites.
Oh, the perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
Reach out to the Ellens or Oprahs of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
For the people of Louisiana.
Yeah, like, yo, like, or just do whatever you got to do to get some money. Like, you know, I don't know.
Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. But you know, just
within reason.
Yeah, within reason. But yeah, get some extra cash, y'all. And you know what? Give up your coffee. Give up that Red Bull. Oh, I don't know if y'all can do it. But yeah,
I could do it for the people.
Yeah, that's true. I believe it.
Please.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, give up that like little extra thing that you get right every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And get some moolah for the people who don't have freaking roofs on their head, like actual, like they're struggling to even have like water not come into their house.
And not only that, their house is sinking into the water-soaked ground.
Yep.
Like it's water everywhere.
Yeah.
And toxic, dirty water at that.
And it's resting in all the different crevices of their home. Yeah. Like they need they need even just disinfectant wipes, right? Like we need to get them disinfectant wipes to even be able to like
a bottle of bleach.
Yeah, a bottle of bleach. Like there are all things that cost money, and it's to literally just make sure that their house isn't growing mold. I remember, so personal story. When I was young, my basement flooded, and it was literally inches of water in our basement, and we had to tear up the rug. We had to tear up the tile. We got down to the concrete, and it still flooded like every once in a while because whatever. The sump pump wasn't working, and we lived at the bottom of the hill, and that like literally after that we did not use our basement for like until I moved out, until like years, decade, like almost a full decade later, we did not use the basement because it was just like the furniture was growing mold. There were things at the bottom, like in the basement, that like just never dried. Like it just we would try to have a fan and like try to dry it, but we didn't know. We had no idea what to do with it. And that is literally what people are going through right now, is not knowing how to properly both dry but also disinfect. Like there's ways to like make sure that the mold doesn't grow. And
not only that, but they don't have the resources for a clean out.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the resources to pull the
and we didn't. That was the problem. We didn't have the resources.
Like it's and it's something that they're gonna see continuously, like in that area. And the when we get into the politics of it, like they're not giving the opportunity to even leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are not given the opportunity to leave that area. Like they have nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to shout out Chief Oju for donating 5 more, QC for 10 more. Is that $10 more and 10 more shares, or just the shares? Either way, appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
But continue to share, continue to donate, and continue to just support in any way you can. Send this to your galleta friends or family or whoever.
Mm-hmm. They could learn a thing or two.
I personally don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any galleta friends anymore.
I think I only have one.
I have none, and it's just your life gets so much better.
It really does. Once I started weeding them out, I was like, oh, this is great.
I remember when I first joined Black Hammer, and it was like, oh, tell your white friends, and I'm like, I haven't had any. I don't even remember the last time, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Like I really don't. Like I said, my dad taught me well.
Yes. Okay.
Keeping me safe. But I think the next read that back is yours.
Is mine. Okay, I am ready. On page 94 of the book, or page, I believe, 97 of the PDF. We can start with contradiction. Okay. Contradiction is the driving force of change. So if we want to understand how things change and to control and utilize their change, then we must understand their contradictions. Why should we say that contradiction is the driving force of change? It is because it is only the presence of only the presence of contradictions in a process which provides the internal conditions making change necessary. As a process which contained no contradictions would simply go on in the same way until some external force stopped it or modified it. A movement without contradictions could be continuous repetition of the same movement. It is the presence of contradictions that is of contradictory tendencies of movement or of a unity and struggle of opposites, which brings about the changes of movement in the course of a process. Land back. Yes, it's only through internal contradiction that we really see change, right? And that's like, once again, if we can tie it even back to the war, like we had an internal contradiction of a crap ton of petty boo people. Crap ton. like just a lot of petty boo people. That was an internal contradiction. That was, and what led to a purge, what led to the change was the exit of those petty boo people. That led to not only the right, even tying it back to the quality and the quantity, right? The quantity changed, but the quality leveled up. Like, yes, one changed, but the quality leveled up, like as we said. And even just thinking about how internally, right? Like when I joined this revolution, when I joined Black Hammer, right? That was actually something that I mentioned when, like, way back, was how it was like an internal change was happening, and it's called growth. What is that? Growth spurts? Growing pains. Yeah, growing pains. Like that is literally what it feels like, is like, oh God, this is a lot, right? And it's literally that internal change that is going to make you a better revolutionary, right? Make you think differently, because that is you getting rid of the colony in your head, getting rid of, those tendencies in your head. And that's it's a beautiful thing. It leads to a beautiful change, within yourself, right? And there's an example of like of a butterfly in here, of course, right? Of like, there's an internal change of inside the cocoon, right? When the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, like there's an internal change that happens in there, and that changes the physical aspects of the same thing, right? Like it changes it completely. But the reason why that contradiction in in a natural sense leads from a butterfly to a cocoon. Oh, Jesus Christ. A caterpillar to a butterfly is literally it being basically being easier to prey on, right? Like when you're a caterpillar, like it's really easy to see it and eat it, right? Versus a butterfly can just fly away. It can dodge. It's a lot easier to move around. Those are all things that like a contradiction leads to a change, and that I don't know, like it just makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I really appreciated this section.
Yeah, I think for full unity, and I want to comment on what you said, like when you first joined, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that internal change. It is a very beautiful thing, but it is an uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to acknowledge your own contradictions, your own liberalism, your own individualism, and that's a constant thing, right? Like we are all still of the colony. We all still fight those contradictions at a different level, right?
Yeah, that's what what Wednesday said.
Exactly.
That's what this.
You have to look at yourself, right? Really look at yourself. Internalize who you are as a person, not who you think you are, not how you want people to see you, but who you truly, truly are. And yes, the butterflies. And like that's exactly what it is, right? Like it's blooming, right? Or what's the word, hatching? I don't know, whatever. You come out of the cocoon, you're a new creature, really. Like, yeah, scientific hypotheses are crazy. Crazy creatures. But yeah, exactly. It's a pretty simple like little thing. So yeah, continue to drop your recap backs if you have any more.
Oh, I liked what Chief Oju commented. Contradictions be breaking people, but don't go away when you leave revolution. So might as well fight for them collectively. Exactly. Like, okay, I'm struggling with so many different things. That is it.
Metamorphosis.
That's the
Thank
word.
you so much, City Builder B.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
But yeah, like there's always going to be contradictions. Oh, I can't make the rent. I can't, I have to work, X amount of jobs because I need to make the rent. Okay. How can we work on that collectively? How can we fundraise collectively to do that?
And like, not only that, but also like contradictions of like, you don't manage your time. Right. Like those internal contradictions, because the material contradictions are easier to overturn, honestly. True. Like, especially in a collective, right? And you shouldn't be in here because you want the collective to solve your material contradictions. You should be in here because you want to help liberate poor and working class colonized people. But like those internal contradictions of liberalism, of individualism, like those don't go away. Those don't go away. And like when you have those contradictions, like it's going to be hard, like basically impossible for you to even pinpoint them. And that's why we trust in the collective and criticism, right? And like that's how we overturn, and that's how we become better servants of the masses. So yeah, like material contradictions are hard and they can be overturned, but like that's not, I don't know, you shouldn't be in here for that.
Yeah, 100%. Like even so, for example, I had contradictions within my housing. It wasn't necessarily housing contradiction, but I had contradictions within my housing, right? And it took a while for that to for it to be overturned. But the reason why I continued to be here was not because I want to eventually get housing. It's like, or a change in housing. It's more so because I was like, the work takes first. Like the work, there's work to be done. I need to get the work done, and that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want the housing. It's that I'm putting the work first before solving my housing contradiction, right? And and that goes for in the revolution. Like we're not gonna stop the work for one contradiction, for one personal contradiction, right? We are gonna continue the work, but also it might take some time. And the reason why it takes time is because the work that is affecting that leads to helping colonized people, to leading colonized people into revolution, takes precedence. That is the thing that we're here for, not just one individual person. So
just to reiterate, no one person will ever be above the collective or the collective goal of liberation. Ain't nobody that special.
Nope.
Nobody, not one person. I'm gonna tell you, not one person, not
including family,
not your mama, not your dad, not your sister, not your best friend, not your partner. Like, if you're willing to walk away from liberating the masses of working class colonized people all over the world, then you were never here for the right reason, and you have a lot of internalization to do. Or you might just live the rest of your life in the colony because that's easier for you to do, apparently, is to live in an oppressed place where no one pushes you to be better, but only to work more for the oppressor. That's everyone's goal, is to do more for the colony. No job wants to actually see you develop personally. They don't, because if you develop personally, you're going to realize that it's trash. They don't want you it's the whole thing. They don't want you to think about your material reality. And do they win, bro? They win. Not all of us. Not all of us. And there are people who haven't found Black Hammer yet, and those are the people we talk to on the street every day. It just, this is it, and y'all can do it too. We're not special. Just like not one person is worth the revolution. Like not one of us is special.
Yeah.
Like not one of us has like superhuman powers like for anything. We just want to liberate our people.
Yeah, we're just people that want to make the ultimate change. The change that will literally get our people free. Like that, like since a kid, I've always been like, oh yeah, like I want to make a change in the world. Like the world, this world is not right. Like there's something wrong with it. Like as a kid, I always like knew that there was something that I wanted to do, right? To make big changes in the world. I didn't know that the big change I wanted was, anti-colonialism, right? Or that, to change it was revolution. But as a kid, I was just like, yeah, like this is not for me. This is not for us. Like this isn't right. And it wasn't until like, like I started to like really like analyze how things are that I was like, oh, this is a lot big. This is really big,
This is a lot big.
A lot big. Yes. A lot.
And I think like I honestly like tell me a colonized child who hasn't had that thought.
Yeah.
That because of that thought, I wanted to be a Power Ranger. Because I wanted to save the world. Like,
yeah,
I wanted to save the world from like the big bad people. And then, like I said, I'm very blessed to have my dad, and to have my dad be who he is. Because as soon as I started asking questions, it was like, let me tell you about the revolutionary history of Mexico and what you're feeling, and what you think. And here's like that, like, he brought it with like material, dialectical materialism proof of what I was feeling and thinking. And not everyone has that, obviously, but everyone inherently has those same feelings, I think. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Man, like we see our people struggle. Like, this is not for us. This is not the way it's supposed to be. But thank you all so much for sticking with us. Remember to keep donating. We can go into announcements.
Yeah, what do we got going on this coming week? Always so much. Oh, the Vanguard. Oh God, are we doing another mukbang? That'd be so.
I think always.
Always. Oh, love that for y'all. Eat all the good food. Y'all deserve it. Yeah, we got the revolutionary. What? Anyway, the Vanguard on Monday at 8:00 Eastern, which is 7:00 Central if you're watching. From the Central Time Zone, but sorry, y'all. My brain is on a different level today. But yeah, we got this, and it's always so great. CIC, SG, that entire house, full of Kaiser chiefs. Break down all the different kinds of news going on in the world. Some of it is more celebrity news, which honestly I am always learning so much because I'm not into celebrity news at all. I've never been, so I'm always like, oh, who's that? Honestly,
for real.
But it also goes into like news. Like we broke down last week, I believe. The disgusting thing that was going on at the border with the Haitians getting whipped and everything. So, yeah, if you want to, tune in, get that revolutionary news, make sure to tune in at 8:00 Eastern tomorrow. I forgot. Yeah, tomorrow's Monday.
It is.
Yeah, tomorrow's Monday, y'all. Fun stuff. And then if you want to go into the rally.
Yeah, and then Tuesday rallies are most. I love the rallies, right? It's such a good place to get updates on what we're working on and what our projects are, and to really dive into it in an anti-colonial way. So the theme this week is Resist the Mandate, where we'll be going into, let's
see this video.
Let's do a thing.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got the Tuesday rally. Oh, yep. Oh, God, we're talking about the CDC.
Yeah, like our Atlanta chapter has been at the headquarters of the CDC, protesting the vaccine mandate because it goes against our very first principle of unity of having dictatorship over our lives, right? And we're just breaking down like the science behind it, like why first of all, why colonized people have every right to be skeptical. I don't know, man. Skeptical. English is dumb. Y'all know what I meant. Hopefully, if not, I corrected myself. So, but yeah, and like why we're not saying like don't do anything. We have our own protocols to keep us safe, right? That have been proven to work. And so we're going to be talking more into this march on the CDC, what it's looking like. Again, going way deeper into why we're doing this fight, why we're going against the CDC. And yeah, again, that's Tuesday, September 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm. And we also got some defense tips and things like that. We got, because we got a whole defense apparatus, with workouts and things to make sure that your body is right and with your mind as well. And we also have, some ground updates, like, what are the chapters doing? What are they up to all across the world? And along with, just so much more information. So make sure that y'all tune in. You don't want to miss it, as it's saying on the graphic, on the video. So yeah, Tuesday at 8 or 7 o'clock Eastern. And then if you are a galleta, like this Cornforth person, then make sure that y'all are donating, or not even donating, reparating, giving us back our resources, to make sure that you're on the right side of history, because you're part of the problem, so make sure you're not anymore.
Simple pimple.
And get that little bit of education. Like, it's not just for us, right? It's it is because y'all have been doing things, but it's also because y'all can actually materially learn, why the system is the way it is, and how it continues to affect colonized people worldwide. So get that political education, learn how to organize, all of those things, and yeah, I'm back.
And as always, if you love the rally, the book trap, all of these amazing things, all of our graphics, y'all beautiful. Chief Oju, a master.
Mm-hmm.
For real. But if you want to level up, join Agitation and Propaganda. You can email bhagitationpropaganda@protonmail.com. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blind, so I can't read them. I was kind of guessing. But the email's right there. Go ahead and join to be under the amazing leadership of Chief Oju, to continue to provide political education for the masses and for the members of Black Hammer. It's really like agitation and propaganda is the biggest tool that we have in the revolution. So there we go.
Land back, everyone.
And again, we're going to talk about it in the rally, but mark your calendars. The march on the CDC will be happening November 22nd, because that's when they want to take our dictatorship over our bodies, and our lives. So mark your calendar, follow the Facebook page, keep up to date on what the moves are, what the Vanguard is doing, so you can hop in and support in whatever way, including going to blackhammer.org/join.
Yeah, and you can even just tune in to what we talk about and things like that by joining our Facebook group. You can,
so much goes in there.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Like, people are just talking regularly all the time about all the different things that the CDC does. So yeah, make sure to join that group as well. And last but not least, we are at the end of our book.
That's crazy.
That is really crazy. It's been a fun ride, honestly. It's been good. So next week, we will be reading chapters 10 through 11 of the same book, Materialism in the Dialectical Method, by Mr. Cornforth. Ooh, Jesus. So yeah, make sure that y'all are reading. Make sure you come with read that backs, and make sure you come with some donations, y'all. And make sure you're sharing for this one, so that people are ready for the next. Ooh, and that is it. We're done.
Have a beautiful Sunday of outreach. Get ready for your week of serving the masses.
Yes.
And we will see you next week. Land back, everybody.
Land back, everyone. Make sure you drink some coffee or tea.
And water.